That's what made him fall. Temptation. Adam was tempted. He was tempted. He was tempted like this. He was tempted through the lust of the eye. He was tempted through the lust of the flesh, and he was tempted through the pride of life. And because the bottom line is, it was a tree that was in the middle of the garden that God told him. He says, you can have anything in here, but this tree, leave it alone. And then when the serpent came and talked to Eve, because we have to understand, before the sin, Adam and Eve were one person. They weren't separated. It wasn't Adam and Eve. It was Adam and a woman. It was man and woman. They were together. It was woman and a man, because they were together. They were one. So a lot of times preachers might say, well, where was Adam? Because Adam was right there too, because they were one. They didn't work as an opposite unit, or they didn't work. They didn't work on separate sides of the team. They worked together. They were one. When God spoke an instruction to Adam, that was just like talking to Eve, because they were one. So now he says to him, his servant said, I want you to look at that tree. That was the lust of the eye. And that Eve looked at that tree and said, it does look good to eat. And then he says, God does not want you to eat from that tree. He says, because you'll be like us. You'll be like a God. And that was the pride of life. So we had the lust of the eye, we had the pride of life, and then we had the lust of the flesh, because he told them to eat it, and it was going to be fulfilling to the flesh. And so I've come by here to tell you that the only areas that you'll ever be tempted in life are the lust of the eye, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. I don't care whatever it is that you're tempted with, it falls in those three categories. It might be a different person, it might be a different place, it might be a different situation, but they all fall in those three categories: lust of the eye, lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. So because he sinned, then there was a separation. And Adam, a man that was perfect in intellect, perfect in spirit, and perfect in body, was now suffering from imperfection, because there was sin, and God knew it. His spirit got tainted, because God had such a spiritual connection that as soon as he sinned, God looked for Adam and said, Adam, where art thou? It is not that Adam didn't know where he was, but he knew that there was a separation. I mean, you know when you have kids, or when you have a spouse and y'all are so close, you know when they mad without them telling you they mad. You know when they hungry without them specifying that you're hungry, because you have that connection. And Adam had a perfect connection, a perfect spiritual connection with God. And the moment that sin entered, God said, Adam, where art thou? And then after that, his intellect got all messed up. His thinking got distorted, because God had said, Adam, what did you do? And he said, this woman. He didn't take responsibility on his own, but his mind started to get distorted, and we do the blame game like we do with everything. This woman, God, I wouldn't have cussed them out, but this man. Or they was, I wouldn't have acted like they was them. And what happened, that's distorted thinking. Am I talking to somebody in here? So now a man that had perfect thinking, he had a perfect spiritual relationship, now has failed in two areas. And the last area was he was perfect in body. He was naked and not ashamed. But then when God came to Adam after sin, he noticed Adam had some fig trees around him. Now Adam started finding fault in his body. So y'all missing this. Y'all missing this. He started finding fault now in his body. When God made him perfect, he had no problems walking around naked. There was no issues. But now that sin had entered, and because it had messed up his spiritual validity, it has messed up his intelligence. Now he thinks that his body's not good enough, and so he goes and he tries to cover himself up. My God, how many times do we try to cover our imperfections up because of distorted thinking? Or not because, I ain't talking about putting clothes on, but how many times do we try to cover our gifts up because of distorted thinking? We try to cover our talents up because of distorted thinking. I come by here to tell you the devil is out to kill you, for the enemy comes to steal, kill, and to destroy. So now we see the first Adam was tempted. And he failed. First Adam failed the temptation. He failed the test. And so now the second Adam comes on the scene. And the devil, I come out and tell you that the devil don't try nothing new. The devil doesn't have any new tricks. He uses the same thing. 1 Corinthians 10:13 tells us, there is now no temptation that has overtaken you, but such as common to man. And God is what? Faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you're able. See, that's a word right there. There's no temptation that you're going through that somebody else hasn't gone through. I know you feel like you're the only one struggling in that area. I know you're the only one you feel like you're the only one that's messing up. You feel like you're the only one that's made a mistake. But I've come by here to tell you that the word says that there is no temptation that has overtaken you, but such as what? Common to man. It's common. These things are common that you go through. And God is faithful. Touch your neighbor and say, God is faithful. Because he will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able. I don't care what you're going through, but the reason that you're going through it is because God knows that you can overcome it. Oh, touch your neighbor and say you're an overcomer. The only reason why you're going through it, I'll say it again, is because God knows you can overcome it. The only reason why you're going through that abuse is because God knows you can overcome it. The only reason why you're going through that financial problem is because God knows you can overcome it. The only reason why you're going through that marital issues is because God knows that you can overcome it. I didn't say you knew it, but I said God knew it. And if God knows it, all you have to do is link up to Him. Am I talking to somebody in this place? All you have to do is just hold on and link up to God, because He will not put more on you than you can bear. Somebody give God praise. But we got some more good news. The Bible says, but with temptation is a way of escape. Touch your neighbor and say, there's always a way out. Baby, there's always a way out. I don't care what you're in. I don't care what you're going through. There's always a way. Touch your neighbor again and say, baby, there's a way out. You can get out of that relationship. You can get out of that job. You can get out of debt. You can get out of bankruptcy. You can get out of fight. God, I feel the Holy Spirit in this place. There's always a way out. He said, with the temptation, meaning that temptation doesn't come alone, but it comes with something. Oh, y'all get this. He said that every time you're tempted, a way out is always with it. Oh my God. Every time you're tempted to have sex, your way out is always with it. Every time you're tempted to smoke the herb, your way out is always in it. So anytime you're tempted to tell a lie, the way out is always with it. I just want you to start looking for the way out. Don't miss that, don't miss that, don't miss that, don't miss that. See, we got to look for, touch your neighbor and say, look for the way out. We're looking for a pity party. We're looking for excuses. We're looking for folks to pray over us day and night. But baby, with temptation comes a way of escape. Somebody shout, I'm coming out of this thing. I'll find your neighbor and say, I'm coming out of this thing, baby. Because the Bible says that with the temptation comes the way out. Oh, God.
Have your way, Holy Ghost.
So that you will be able to endure it. Endure it. He says the way out is always going to be so that you can endure it. Because sometimes the way out isn't an escape. Oh, y'all miss that.
Come on.
It's not always an escape the way we see it. See, because when we think of escape, we think of running away from the issue. We think of getting, because there's some things you're going to be tempted with that's going to be with you for a long time. But when God has given you a way of escape that you'll be able to what? Endure it. Hope y'all get that right there. So that you'll be able to what? Endure it. So that you'll be able to endure those booty calls. You'll be able to endure those folks that's coming up against you on your job. You'll be able to endure the crack man on the street that knows you used to smoke with him. You'll be able to endure those folks that used to party with, that's calling you up to come to the club every week. You'll be able to endure it. Ooh, Jesus. Yeah. You'll be able to. So now the second Adam is here on earth. And John the Baptist says, behold the Lamb of God that taketh away the sins of the world. And he asks to baptize Jesus. And he baptized him, and we talked about that last weekend. We talked about the Spirit driving him immediately into the wilderness. So now Jesus is in the wilderness fasting. And now he's weak in body. Because he's been fasting without food. But he's strong in spirit. See, I'll come by to tell you that whatever you feed is whatever's going to be the strongest. We got some people that are so smart, but yet spiritually dumb. They're book intelligent. They can tell you every scripture. They can tie in every theological term. They know the Greek and the Hebrew in and out. But they lack a spiritual connection with God, because their connection with God is based on intellect.